Good afternoon. This is White Raptor News Ministries. I hope everybody is having a pleasant day. Today we're going to be reading from Deuteronomy chapter 24. But before I jump into this chapter here, I want to go back to Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 28 and 29. And it says here, if a man encounters a virgin who is not pledged in marriage, and he seizes her, if he rapes her, he takes her, and lies with her, and they are discovered, then the man who laid with her must pay the young woman's father 50 shekels of silver. So 50 shekels of silver today would be around $5,000. Okay? And she must become his wife because he has violated her. He must not divorce her as long as he lives. Okay. Well, number one, the man raped the woman. That's what I'd say, right? And number two, what if the woman wants nothing to do with the assailant? Come on, this is a predator. This is a man that if he raped her in the first place, what do you think that their life is going to be with that parasite anyways? So a friend of mine, Gravy Train, we talk and stuff on the phone and shoot each other some texts, and she told me the other day that I'm going to burn in hell. And it's partly because I question these laws. I don't question the 10 Commandments, okay? Let me be very clear. I live my life by the 10 Commandments. I apply all these to my life every day, all right? Every day. I'm in this Bible most every day. Well, I'm in the Bible every day. Not most every day, but for the last 3.5 years, I've been into the Bible every day. Now, some days, the first 1.5 years that I got into the Bible, I was in this Bible for anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day, possibly 7 days a week, for 1.5 years, slapping hours, I mean hundreds of hours into the Bible every month, thousands of hours in 1.5 years I spent reading this Bible. Okay, so I do have some kind of understanding what's being said. So this Lord, this God here that's given this commandment is Yahweh, all right? And these are the 613 laws of Yahweh. This is a law of Yahweh, that if some random man comes along and rapes your daughter, that all he's got to do is pay the father 50 shekels, which to me, I'm not an Israelite man, but if I was an Israelite man and another man raped my daughter and he was caught and I knew of him, I wouldn't want any money for him, okay? Paying somebody off is not justice, folks, all right? Throwing that fucker in prison for the rest of his life, or beating that fucker down for the rotten thing that he did. Not reward him, not say, oh, all you got to do, what if it's some rich pig? Huh? Come on. These are the laws and stuff that I question, the 613 laws of Yahweh. Not to mention that the God of the Bible here, Yahweh, doesn't change. But clearly, since I've been reading all of the scriptures, I see Yahweh change his mind just like Jesus Christ changed his mind. I see this Bible being written the exact same way that the New Testament is written, in repetition. And that all comes from the tablets, which is repetition. So I wanted to start my show off with that if he violates her, he must not divorce her as long as he lives. So she's stuck with the man that raped her. So my question is, Israel, you're on board with this? If someone raped your daughter, a payout, you're okay with a payout? To me, that alone, honestly, sounds like a violation, and it doesn't sound human to me. That does not sound human to me. Pay a fine, marry the woman, you're stuck with her the rest of your life. That's, I mean, for the man, it could be a blessing, but for that woman, come on, you're a mother. So can somebody put it in the comment section for me there? I've taken 5 minutes to bring this parable to light. Okay? Well, guess what? When you have people like this...
Okay, so without further ado, let's get into today's story time. And just another little by the way thing here. I'm a little uncomfortable telling this story time. When I read through it, I was like, what the fuck? To each their own. I don't judge. This is a no judgment zone. Except for the comments, I cannot control those. Okay, so story time about how I fucked my brother.
So I guess what's going on here with this demon woman is she's telling a story of what she's read of somebody else's story about this story time and stuff. Well, this is exactly why God told Israel to stay out of the cities of the Samaritans. So yeah, it's important for Israel to understand that there are two creation stories, and that there was a lower dimensional God, the seed of Satan, which are the Gentile race, which are all colors, races, creeds, no discrimination. They're all one and the same, okay? They are black and white. They are the United Nations, and they are a hive. They are murderers and killers and thieves and crooks. They're rapists and pedophiles. They're warmongers and whoremongers. They're prostitutes. They're corrupted officials. They're the evil of the world. They are the government, and they're the ones that put all that is evil on the streets. The government puts the prostitution on the streets. They put the money on the streets. They put the drugs on the streets. They put the young kids on the streets. They put the gayness on the streets. They do it all. This is a warped world, and they're warping our children's minds with the television. So let's go ahead and jump into Deuteronomy chapter 24, and it says, if a man marries a woman who becomes displeasing to him because he finds something indecent about her, and he writes her a certificate of divorce, gives it to her, and sends her from his house, and if after she leaves his house she becomes the wife of another man, and her second husband dislikes her and writes her a certificate of divorce, gives it to her, and sends her from his house, or if he dies, then her first husband, who divorced her, is not allowed to marry her again after she has been defiled. That would be detestable in the eyes of the Lord. Do not bring sin upon the land of the Lord your God is giving you as inheritance. Well, hold on. I got to ask you a question here. Okay? These are the lands that you've just wiped everybody else out on. Okay? You've just killed people. You've killed the children. You've killed their goats, their animals, their wives, their husbands. You've done all this, right? Then wouldn't you call that land that God has given you at that point in time a sin-filled land? I would say so. I'd say it's a corrupted land. And again, I'd say, why would the Supreme Spirit give you somebody else's land to inherit instead of just giving you your own land, leading you out someplace and doing right by you and feeding you in another place where no war or existence of war takes place, where you're not in the towns of the Samaritans? Because it always does. I've read this whole damn Bible to you guys now, and it's definitely showing you that the God of this Bible is leading you out in the desert. It's leading you to war. It's having you kill people. And this same God that's having you do all this is telling you that if you kill, that by man's hands your own blood shall be shed. So I don't know, man. Some of these laws are kind of off. Not the 10 Commandments. I live by the 10 Commandments. I walk with the 10 Commandments on my heart. That's all I can do. These laws here that I'm reading for you folks, okay, These laws were written for Israel. These laws weren't written for the Gentile, because the Gentile are a different race of people that were created from a lower God. Now, I know, let me show you something, okay? I'm just Isaiah 45:7 Bible Hub. You have one God right here that's telling you, I form the light and I create the darkness. One, I alone. Okay? And I'm telling you that God alone did do it. He subcontracted it. Okay? Look at it like this. You are a contractor that built Trump Towers. All right? Okay? Trump is the one that's paying for it. He's paying for the material. He's the one that he has an architect that wrote it, and he has the workers that built the tower. All right? But who's the one that built the tower? Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is what? He considers himself a god. Absolutely 100%. These politicians, they consider themselves gods. Okay? So such is the same thing for Donald Trump, where he subcontracts out all his work. He's still the creator of that building. Such is the same as this reality construct that we live here. The supreme creator subcontracted his work, what his plan was, to something else to carry out his grand work in progress. And this is all proven. I don't just say it. This is all proven. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, Bible Hub. This God here, Elohim, okay? God Elohim right here, plural of Eloah, God's in the ordinary sense, but specifically used of the supreme. So this God here is a God that is being used of a supreme God. This supreme God here would be, I would say, that is the supreme creator of all things. He's the one that subcontracted this work out to Elohim. Now, here's the thing. Genesis chapter 1, verse 20. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, Bible Hub. This is what my dear friend, an Israelite woman who I really I love. I'm very grateful for our friendship, even when she says things that may be true. I don't know that any of this is true. Look, I'm just showing you information, all right? And I believe that what I am reading is the truth. And the way that I am reading it to you is the truth. And it's backed. And I'm backing everything that I say with scriptures. I'm not just giving you some dialogue. I'm showing you what the beginning is. The beginning is the beginning of time. And the beginning of time means the beginning of the fall. And in the beginning, God, this God here, Elohim again, is used, folks. So the very first parable of the Bible is telling you that there is a greater God that is above this God, that is using this God here to create the heaven and the earth. I'm not saying this. I'm reading it to you. I'm showing it to you. I'm not saying it to you, but I am at the same time. I believe what I'm saying to you when I read what I'm sharing with you, when it says this God is used of a supreme God, that there is a higher God, in fact, over this God of the beginning. Because this God of the beginning could very well be the Trinity God that they're talking about. Why? Because it's plural of Eloah. It's gods. This is plural in the ordinary sense. They're just ordinary gods. Well, who are the ordinary gods? They're mankind created on the sixth day. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. This is the beginning of time, and the supreme spirit of truth, the living one, the almighty, what you can see, what you can't see. It's what you can't see that makes up the world that you can see. He is the one that subcontracted out to Elohim. Well, who's Elohim? Who's El Shaddai? Who's El Elyon? Who are the angels? Michael, San Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel. Who is El? Zeus is El, the supreme. El, God, the lowercase God. God's used of the supreme. So I'm not trying to lead anyone astray. If you're Israel, let me be very clear. Okay, I'm here to teach Gentiles. If you stumble into my room and you're an Israelite, then you're welcome. My lessons are mainly on a 666 system that we live in, but I started reading the entire Bible because I was tired of people saying to me that you have to read the entire Bible when I've read the entire Bible. Okay, I've done it. So now I'm reading it for you, the people, and I'm pointing out to you the contradictions within each chapter. Okay, I could read through this book for you guys and be done with it in a month. Just sit there and read it, and read the chapters. But you're not going to get anything at all from somebody just reading the chapters to you. You need to have these riddles covered for you. So the beginning is time. Understand that time is made up of 60 seconds, 60 minutes, and 24 hours. 2 plus 4 is 6. In the beginning, time 666, God. So this God in the beginning, God, is God Elohim, created the heavens and the earth. Okay, who is this God? Well, it's who says that they're the beginning. Jesus says that he's the beginning. Jesus says, I am the Alpha, the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Jesus is the beginning. This God here is the beginning. The supreme God stands outside of time construct. This God here, Jesus, or whoever it is, Elohim, whatever the hundreds of thousands of names, the 33 million different names for God on this plane of existence, is not the supreme. It's something used. I have to keep driving that in. I'm not saying it. I'm showing it to you. So you take from the lesson, okay, whatever you want. I'm not leading anybody astray. I'm just simply saying to you that there is something that is outside of this time, heaven, and space. See, because if you're going to create matter, and that's what the earth is, it's matter, okay, then you have to have a space to place your matter. And you got to know when it was created. So when was it created? It was created in the beginning. And Jesus is the beginning. Jesus is the end. Jesus is the beginning of Genesis. Jesus is the beginning of 1:1. He's the Word. And when you add the sum of the Word, it comes to 60. And the Word said 3 times is 666. If a man has recently married, he must not be sent to war or have any other duties laid on him. For 1 year, he is to be free to stay at home and bring happiness to his wife he is married. For 1 year. So why are you still at war? Why has Israel always been at war? Because this place of existence, folks, is perpetual war. This has always been war, and it's not a black and white race. That's what Satan wants you to believe. It has nothing to do with black and white. It's a race war of good and evil. And good is getting the shit stomped out of it on this plane of existence because everybody's worshiping the other 33 million gods that they've created for you on this plane of existence. There is only one God. Israel calls that one God Yahweh. Others call him Yah, and others call him Yahweh. That's 3 different names for Israel. If God is one God, then why does Israel have 3 different names for one God? That's a trinity within itself. I keep telling everybody that it seems to me today, the more that I read this Bible, all religions seem to be a trinity. Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob, that's a trinity. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Is-Ra-El. Put a dash between I-S and a dash between the E-L and the R-A, and then put a question mark at the end of it. What do you have? Is-Ra-El? It's a question. Who is El? El is 410 of the Bible, the Strong's Concordance. El is the Almighty. El is the Supreme. But you got to understand that El is the Supreme of this reality construct. El is the god of electricity. Zeus is the god of electricity. And this is why those in Mexico call Jesus Jesus. They are hailing Zeus. Jesus is what it is. Jesus is simply hailing Zeus, the god of electricity, the god of syntropy, the materialized world. So I mean, hell, you're still at war. And in Israel, I'm trying to tell you, you've always been at war. Perpetual war. Since you were created and you ate from that apple, you were tossed into a plane of existence of perpetual war, and you've always been raised by something other that wasn't the supreme. Because God said that you surely die that day if you eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That means that Adam and Eve fell away from God spiritually, just as the Gentile. Now let me explain something to you about the difference between Satan and why he can't get back in heaven. Because before the beginning, there was a before. And that's what you need to understand, is the before the beginning. Because the beginning is the beginning of the fall. The beginning is the beginning of other gods, plural of other gods. And it's telling you that. And I'm showing you that. Okay, do not take a pair of millstones, not even the upper one, as security for a debt, because that would be taking a person's livelihood as security. And the millstone here, I'm sure, would be a grinder for the wheats and stuff like that. If someone is caught kidnapping a fellow Israelite and treating or selling them as a slave, the kidnapper must die. So then why do we have so many television shows showing you kidnapping movies and stuff? And do we really hear anyone at all on the mainstream media of children being kidnapped anymore? Very little of it, huh? All they keep pushing is their drugs. They keep pushing their politics. They keep pushing their transgender groups and their LGBTQ&A groups. They are pushing these mentally insane, demented demons on us. You got to understand that if you are laying down man on man, cross-dressing and stuff, the God of this Bible of Israel is telling you that that is an abomination. So you have one God that's telling you that it's against his laws and commandments, and then you have 33 million other gods on the plane of this existence, and then you have 17 or 7 billion other angels, fallen angels, and they're the ones that are all leading you astray by these 33 million other gods. Okay? There's only one supreme spirit of truth. And let me add, I don't know if the supreme spirit of truth is either male or masculine. He simply created a male man and a masculine man and a feminine female. It's that simple. But mankind has been emasculated by the internet today. Everything that you can watch on television now, you can see that they've put the women in the hero positions. They've paint men to look like weak little dribbling people that can't take care of themselves. And for me, it's horrendous, because when the scales are off your eyes and you see this, it's just everywhere around you. Okay, you must purge the evil from among you. Well, I think somebody that kidnaps a child, if it not to die, then it should spend the rest of its life. Because it's an it. But then, I prefer the die end of it, because then I think, hey, why pay for this person to feed him and house him and put a roof over his head for the rest of his life, right? And this is why you are to purge the evil from among you. In case of a defiling skin disease, be careful to do exactly as the Leviticus priests instruct you. You must follow carefully what I have commanded them. Remember what the Lord your God did in Miriam along the way after you came out of Egypt. When you make a loan of any kind to your neighbor, do not go into their house to go what is offered to you as a pledge. Stay outside and let the neighbor to whom you are making the loan bring the pledge out to you. If the neighbor is poor, do not go to sleep with their pledge in your possession. Return their cloak by sunset, so that your neighbor may sleep in it. Then they will thank you, and it will be regarded as a righteous act in the sight of the Lord your God. Well, thank God it would be considered a righteous act, right? You know what? I do a lot today. I am not a selfish person. It's not about me anymore today. I'm not a me kind of person. I'm not feeding my flesh. I'm not chasing after the women. I'm not drinking in the bars. I'm not sticking needles in my arms. I'm not smoking a crack pipe. You know, I'm working. I'm steady. I'm more steady than I've ever been in my life. I have 4 years left to, make some kind of savings along the way that I have a little bit of money to retire with. Okay. Do not take advantage of a hired worker who is poor and needy, whether that worker is a fellow Israelite or a foreigner residing in one of your towns. Now, I don't understand this. Why would there be any foreigners inside of your towns if you've just wiped everything out and you've taken over the land? That's what the last couple of chapters were all about, man. That the Lord was going to lead you into war and not to be afraid. And that when you go into these cities, you don't leave any stone unturned. You kill everything and all the animals and everything that are in it. So I don't understand why there'd be, you wipe out everybody in the town and then you let foreigners come and reside among you again. You allow the Gentile that you've just wiped off the face of the earth. Now you're allowing the Gentile to come in. So it sounds like it's going back and forth between Edom, is what it sounds like reading this, because Edom's never been wiped out, huh? Right? And where is Jacob? Why did Jacob? History keeps repeating itself over and over and over and over. And this is a perpetual thing that continues over and over and over. I want to talk on things that are so deep, but without the scales off your eyes, the things that I talk about, you'd clearly think that this kid, that I'm mad, that I'm insane. But it's not me. I'm not mad or insane. It's just with the scales off your eyes, you literally see the billions of evil demonic beings that are walking among you. They're wearing flesh suits. They're gorgeous. They're beautiful. They're just like that woman that I showed you here. After she got her makeup all on, she kind of looks like a little demon herself right there with her eyebrows and everything. But these are demons, man, in flesh suits. You understand? This here, over here, this demon here, that's what they want you to believe. They want you to believe that demons are these demonic-looking beings. Well, they're demonic-looking beings with their souls underneath of the flesh suit, okay? She's more than likely a demonic little being. But I'm not a trans. I was born a male, but I'm not a trans. Yeah. So this is all ridiculous shit. Ridiculous. Okay? Pay them their wages each day before sunset, because they are poor and are counting on it. Otherwise, they may cry to the Lord against you, and you will be guilty of sin. Well, I think that in this plane of existence, when somebody does work for you, you do pay them. Let's not forget that you love Donald Trump, but let's not forget the year that he screwed thousands of employees out of hundreds of thousands of dollars in payroll that he didn't pay them. Okay? Trump told you he was going to build the wall that never got built. Trump said he'd make America great again, and America never got great again. It went further into the shithole. Not because of Trump, but because of all of them combined together as a system. okay? There's no left wing, right wing, folks. They're two wings of a state controlled by one head, the Vatican. Wake up to that, okay? Parents are not to be put to death for their children, nor children put to death for their parents. Each will die for their own sins. Well, that kind of goes against the whole, I will judge you for your generations to come. So then we as parents don't have to worry about being put to death because of something that our child done. Nor does that child have to worry about being put to death for what their parent has done. But both parent and children are responsible for their own sins. That's what that's saying to me. You are responsible. You're going to pay. Okay? I'm not going to pay for what my kid did. I'm going to pay for what I did. Okay? That's the way it is. And all I can do is ask for the truth, guidance, the spirit of truth to be upon me so that I can share the truth with others, so that I can read this Bible and continue pounding it out and pointing out the inconsistencies and not being afraid to question the gods of this Bible. Remember, this Bible, Jesus once said, look here, do not give to the pigs what is holy. Against giving what is considered just or holy to those who do not appreciate it. Animals such as dogs and pigs cannot appreciate ethics, and this verse implies that there is even some class of humans beings who cannot either. Yeah, there is a class of human beings that can't decipher ethics. They're the ones that are teaching the ethics in all of your damn colleges. Okay, there's no such thing as ethics. Go to an ethics class and it's completely immoral. Completely. Okay? So, the parable here is Jesus is telling you, do not give dogs what is holy. Okay, well, he's specifically talking about the book. So when Israel started sinning against against their Creator and his commandments, and you went into the towns of the Samaritans, what they did is they trampled it under their feet. They trampled under and turned to attack you. What did they trample? They trampled the Bible. What is holy? It's the Holy Bible. So when Jesus said, don't give to the dogs what is holy, he was telling you, Israel, don't give to the Gentile your holy book, because if you give the Gentile, you go into their books and they get a hold of it, and that's what they did. They've got a hold of your books, and then they wrote themselves into the book. And this is why Genesis is the first book of the Bible, when there are many other other books that were written long before Genesis. Genesis is a rewrite. You understand? And it's a rewrite from the Gentile. Gentile wrote Genesis because they are Gentiled in flesh. They are genies out of their bottles. They are demons dressed in flesh suits. It could be your mother. It could be your brother, sister, aunt, uncle. It could be your whole damn family. There's so many of them around you, and they're everywhere. And they all worship this God here in the beginning, Elohim. And the Elohim is not the supreme creator. Okay. Do not deprive a foreigner or the fatherless of justice, or take the cloak of a widow as a pledge. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you from there. That is why I commanded you to do this. When you are harvesting in your fields and you overlook a sheaf, do not go back to it. Leave it for the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. When you beat the olives from the tree, do not go over the branches a second time. Leave the remains for the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow. Well, all of these are the poor, I would say. When you harvest the grapes in your vineyard, do not go over the vines again. Leave what remains from the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, complete bondage. Egypt is the United Nations, folks. Okay, there's 193 nations, and then there's 7 main angels, powerful angels, demonic beings in power over the United Nations. And that is why I command you to do all of this. So much love to listen. There are two different types of nations here, understand. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, Bible Hub. You must understand that there is a difference between the Lord, and you got 2 different names. Again, you got Jehovah, for those Israelites that are calling him God in the province of Jerusalem today. And then the children of Israel, the God of Israel, they call Yahweh, the proper name of God of Israel. Okay, so you have Yahweh, you have Yah, and you have Yahweh that the Israelites are all calling their God. But if the Israelites were all one camp, then why do they have 3 different names that they're calling God? That's a good question. I would like somebody to put it down. Come on, you're an Israelite priest or anything. Share with me the wisdom and the reason why. Because I believe that the Spirit of truth has one God, one name only. Okay? And I believe that the devil, Satan, has many names. And then this is why Jesus has many names. This is why Jesus is known as Emmanuel, and Jesus is known as Jesus, and he's known as Jesus, and he's also known by the bread of life and the Redeemer and the one that shed his blood and all this other garbage. Look, let me end with this. John chapter 6:56 Bible Hub. Whoever eats my flesh, Jesus says, and drinks my blood. So Jesus wants you to, I don't care if it's metaphorically, physically, mentally, emotionally, parabolically. I don't care in what sense at all that you eat anybody's flesh and blood, folks. That's called the vampire. And I in them, just as the living Father sent me. So Jesus was sent. Well, he's God and he sent himself. And Jesus is God and he went out into the desert to pray to himself. It makes all the sense in the world. Jesus knew that he sent himself to die on the cross for our sins, but yet he had to hide from the Jews. Yeah, that was a fake life. That's how distorted your views and your understanding. You got scales on your eyes. You can't even see the common sense factor that Jesus wants you to eat his flesh. Why don't you just give him a frickin' blowjob while you're at it? He wants you to drink his blood. You guys are disgusting. You're absolutely vile. If you can't see that is, what is that? What is that? Let's see. Let's look at one. Thesaurus.com. Let's go. A vampire. The noun for a vampire is a bloodsucker. So if you're drinking somebody's blood, then that makes you a vampire. And the nouns for a vampire are a bloodsucker, a demon, a ghost, a phantasm, and this is where you get your phantom, and a visitant. Okay? Something on the other side. A watcher. A demon, folks. A vampire is a demon. The one to pay most attention to right here is a ghost. Look. Mark 15:37 Bible Hub. Right here on the left-hand side, King James Bible, and Jesus cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost. Sorry, folks. Jesus gave up the ghost. A ghost right there is a vampire. A ghost is a bloodsucker. Jesus says if you eat his flesh and drink his blood, that you will remain in him and he will remain in you, while you guys continue to fudge pack each other's rear end is what he is. You better wake up. There's two Jesus Christ, folks. Okay? The fake Jesus Christ, the white, European, white, lie, blue-eyed Jesus Christ crucified, is not a real character. He was something that was written in the book when the upright Jesus said to all you, do not give to the pigs what is holy, which was the book, the holy book. And you guys allowed that to happen. You allowed that to happen, and you've been in perpetual war forever and since then. And if you don't wake up to it, then, God doesn't have any mercy for anyone that's walking contrary to his laws and commandments. It's just that simple. And let me end with one last thing. That if anybody in my family, in my past, my ancestors, some blood of mine down the line was this evil parasite, that raped or was a pedophile or was a murderer or somebody that allowed themselves, chased after money and allowed themselves to become an idol, walk contrary to the Supreme Spirit and hung God's children on a tree or on a branch, you burned them, or anybody in my family that did that, may the Supreme Spirit allow me myself to come and hand you your fucking asses, man. I'm serious. All praise to the Supreme Spirit. All praise to him alone. May his peace be upon all those that serve him, whether they be black, white, Asian, pink, blue, or purple, as long as you serve one supreme creator, you are all right in my book. This is White Raptor News Ministries.